Independent people talk to Mattie Mcgrath.
Good, last time caller. 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and the Commission to Fair Fault Road, would he talk line enough? You're very welcome, Madam President, and thanks for your address. And thanks for your acknowledgement of the benefits that Europe had to Ireland, and more importantly, the benefits that we brought and gave and delivered to the European project. On the 6th of December 1922, 100 years ago, the Irish state officially came into existence. This monumental achievement was a result of a huge sacrifice by generations of our ancestors, so that we as a nation would be at least partially free, sovereign and indeed independent. 51 years later, in 1973, our nation joined the EEC. I can remember campaigning for it. We joined to work in union with our friends and neighbours in fellow European countries. We had great hopes, and the people welcomed and indeed voted for it. However, since then, through various treaties, from Maastricht to Amsterdam to Nice and to Lisbon, which we had to vote twice for, imagine the first result wasn't accepted, we have seen much transfer of decision-making, which traditionally rests with sovereign countries, to the EU Commission. And we have issues of concerns about demilitarisation. We have concerns about the huge privatisation. I certainly have concerns that many people have with the way we handled the COVID. And the fact that you were discussing COVID passports in 2012 and 13 and 14, long before COVID reached our shores. And I'm concerned that the way that big pharma have been indemnified, and the way that they were favoured and got favouritism, and the way people were locked down and imprisoned, and the fear that was created. And the narrative couldn't be questioned by anybody in any country. And goodness, we see that today in China and elsewhere. So I have those concerns, and I want to espouse them here to you today. As I said, nation-states like ours seem to have handed over our sovereignty to the EU. The erosion of our sovereignty is greatly concerning to the citizens of Ireland. This loss of sovereignty is the reason that our fishing industry has been unceremoniously wiped out, sold out by our own government. The latest scandal announces that a third of our fishermen are being forced to decommission their boats permanently. Shocking. I remember a thriving beet industry in Ireland, in my own county in Tipperary, in Tullis, and every small farmer, most of them had beet. And we lost our beet industry, just again sold out. This loss of sovereignty is the reason why our manufacturing is which took place in every town and village, and literally a hamlet in rural Ireland. And now it's 𝐶𝐴 is gone, and small business thrived in. But now it's so difficult for small business. It's so cumbersome. And it's just our officials and our governments come back from Europe, oh, it's European diktat. But I don't know that they even question it. Sometimes we haven't even applied for funds to support some of our ailing business and failing and struggling businesses. And that's the fact of the matter. And people are aghast at this, because the 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐿 is very important to the Irish and the sense of the Mehel, but it's not been there. This loss of sovereignty is the reason that our government tells farmers that they must reduce their herd size, while at the same time the EU that you lead wants to import more beef from Brazil and elsewhere. It's an act of madness. It's very disquieting. It's unfair, and it's downright wrong to our farmers, who farming is such an important part of our country and sustained us through several recessions. This loss, as I said, this loss of sovereignty is the reason why we're forced to bail out the euro currency, paying the debts of privately owned banks and financial speculators. In fact, we paid 42% of the total European banking costs, costing 9,000 to every fair ban agus every man, woman and child had to pay, and will be paying, and are paying. And all these bondholders, all these bankers and investors, many from your own country, had bonds and had insurance, but we were made the patsies to pay them, and our government here voted for it. And I voted for the biggest political mistake I ever made in my life. But did I vote for the bailout? No, I did not, because the IMF gave us money at less than 3%, and our so-called friends in Europe charged us 6% interest on the money. That is some friendship that we voted for and we asked for. I ask you today, Madam President, what is the end goal of the European Union in terms of member states' sovereignty? And I ask you that in all sincerity. Will you, as President of the European Commission, guarantee today to the Irish people that Ireland will remain the free and sovereign country that our ancestors fought so bravely for to achieve? And I come from Tipperary, the land of Breen, Tracy, Robinson and Dinny Lacey, who gave their life, and Liam Lynch, Cork and Limerick men were shot in my own adjoining parish. And we commemorate those people with pride, but here we're undermining what they fought for on a daily basis. So, Mr. Blandavine, I don't know if you knew of Thomas Davis. You did quote some at the late John Hume, and rightly so, wonderful European and Irishman. But Thomas Davis was a man who championed Irish sovereignty. He wrote a famous song. In it, he expressed the hope that Ireland, long a province, be a nation once again. The words have been inspired many generations of Irish people, young and old. And I ask you now, does the EU today want to make our nation a province once again? And I ask you that in all sincerity. So I want to say, look, that we have been, you talked about climate change and the just transition. There is no just transition for people who have been forced to shut down their industries, for people who have been forced and not allowed to keep heat and warmth. You mentioned the word beacon of light. Yes, we were, and are. But the candle and the flame is quenched in many homes and houses. It's quenched. And, and the homeless and our health care and our situation, and we welcome so many Europeans from that horrible, Ukrainians, that horrible war. But we just have limits to what we can do as regards migration from all other countries. And some countries I know in Europe have ceased and have put a pause, and we have to cut our cloth according to measure. The Island of 1,000 welcomes, yes, of course, and you're welcome today. But we need to be respected for who we are, what our people are, and our sovereignty.